happy to present today about a topic that is very close to my heart as my day job. So I'm here to talk to you about proactive asset renewals planning. As Mona kindly introduced me, I've been with Rail and Trams now for almost 10 years. And as you will see from my name, I'm not Scottish. So bear with me, please. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Rail and Trams. So we were formed, Rail and Trams was formed in 2013, and we went fully operational on the 31st of May 2014. The last electric tram that ran in Edinburgh was in 1956, so you can all imagine that this was a very big event for Edinburgh, having trams back on the roads of Edinburgh. So we are 100% owned by City of Edinburgh Council, and Edinburgh Trams is the operator and the maintainer. However, the maintenance contracts were with Edinburgh City Council up until 2021, and then they were novated at Edinburgh Trams. So our tram system is comprising of 23 tram stops. We are running from Edinburgh Airport up until Newhaven. Our extension from the city centre of Edinburgh to Newhaven opened in June 2023. And this is a length of 19 kilometers. We have 27 vehicles from CAF, and we have one depot. As I mentioned before, I'm the renewals manager, so I am running a team within Edinburgh Trams. So renewals, the renewals team was created 5 years ago, and it wasn't actually a team, it was only me. So it started with myself, and it grew. And what we've done as a team is we identified projects that would come into the business and require specific expertise. So one of our renewals that we're focusing lately is truck renewals, which is very complicated. So about 6 months ago, we recruited a truck specialist for this. So we're growing as a team, and the focus is around making sure we have the right people at the right moment to be able to deliver what we need. So I'm going to talk to you about our asset renewals journey, and most of the businesses will be able to see common things. So assets, we all have them, and we have the asset lifecycle management, which has 5 stages. So the first stage is plan. So you need to check your available options for the asset that you have and that you want to renew, and understand the financial investment that you will need around it. And then you need to acquire the asset. So purchasing, installing it, budget accordingly. These 2 stages are quite important, because if you get these 2 right, then you'll be able to operate and maintain. And these 2 stages should spend the majority of the time with an asset. And then the last stage is dispose. We need to be able to focus on sustainability and enhance efficiencies for the business. So disposing, we need to think sustainable. Perhaps we need to see if the asset that we are renewing can be reused from heritage, like James mentioned earlier, or make sure that we're disposing it in an environmental friendly way. An asset renewals plan captures the balance between the life cycle and the reliable performance of the infrastructure. And when you want to start your asset renewals journey, you need to start early, because it will allow you to have a structured plan, and it will bring a strong case for your required renewals. So from our experience at Edinburgh Trams, we didn't have a fully formulated asset renewals plan, and we were all around the fact that we were a very young network. So right in 2019, when I started, we created our first asset renewals plan, and we started slowly with an annual plan, and then we grew. And I will talk to you about this a little bit later. But the problem with not having the asset renewals plan early enough is that you'll end up playing catch-up, and you won't be able to identify early enough assets that might be dependent with each other. So you're changing one asset, but then you might affect something else, and that needs to be reflected on your plan. So what are the asset renewal criteria and drivers? for you to create your plan. So obviously, the first thing is compliance. We talked about standards. So we need to make sure that we are on top of the regulations, guidance and laws. And a very good example of that is the Sunderland recommendations. So we had the incident in Sunderland, and that gave a lot of recommendations that all the operators had to implement. So very big projects for us was to implement an automated braking system for our vehicles or install emergency exit lights. So these things are things, assets or projects that you will include in your renewals plan. And then you're talking about manufacturers, or your manufacturer will give you the life cycle of your asset, and that will inform when your asset is going to be on your asset renewals journey. And then you move to the asset performance, which is the feedback that you're going to get is from your operations team and your users also. You have your passengers, they're using your asset day to day. And if you have a ticket machine that it's not operating as it should, and once you're receiving complaints, you see where you are on your asset renewals journey if you have added your asset on the year that you should be looking at. And then obviously another criteria is the asset condition. So through your maintenance records and asset condition service, you can understand where you are on your renewal journey. Another important factor and criteria is the asset criticality. So there are specific assets, like in Edinburgh, in the city centre. We did renew last year 2 of our SNCs in key locations, and that created disruption. So we need to identify early enough the criticality of an asset that we're looking to replace, and making sure that we will plan accordingly to minimize the disruption. Obsolescence is something that is becoming of a trend, I would say, for us. So technology moves so fast, and you have to be on top of it. You have to understand where the market is. A very big example for us is we recently completed a CCTV renewal for internal and external on our tram vehicles, and it took us 5 years to get there, because obviously you don't want to affect tram reliability. However, you all know how electrical components move very quickly, and we ended up realizing that the CCTV cameras that we've installed now are obsolete. We have enough spares to keep us for many years. However, we need to start now planning ahead for the next renewals. And then it's the life cycle costs. It is a very big criteria for the authority, for example, for us and Edinburgh City Council. They need to understand the life cycle costs so they can be able to budget accordingly. And future user requirements. So in our case, we built our extension, and we had in our renewals plan an OCC refresh for our control room. However, building a new extension brought new systems, and we realized that we had to bring forward that activity to be sure that whatever we are going to be building is going to talk with the existing system. So whatever is going to be your future user requirements needs to taking into account on your renewals plan. But also future-proofing, because we've talked that in Edinburgh we're looking at future renewals, extensions. So when we are going to do a track renewal, we might need to look at future-proofing, because there might be an extension that will be connected there. And lastly is spare requirements and technical support. So if spares can no longer be identified, that will inform and renewal. It might change where it is in your plans. Or technical support. We are all using Microsoft, and at some point Microsoft will stop supporting the software that you're using, and that is another renewal that you need to take account of. So these are things that will inform how your asset renewals plan will be created. So creating an asset renewals plan. Of course, the first thing you need to do is to identify your assets. And we talked about, Marek talked about Agility, which is the asset management system that they're using, which we are using as well. And in your asset management system, all your assets are going to be included there, and your maintenance history. So you'll be able to identify which are your assets and where are on your renewals plan. And then you identify and define their condition or their stage on their life cycle, which again will inform when in your renewals plan you need to identify and locate an asset. I want to touch a little bit more about the asset management system, because in Edinburgh Trams, our journey was again a little bit different. And we had our CMMS, but we didn't use it to its full potential, because we have our maintainers that were using their own asset management systems. And what we ended up realizing is that we need something that will integrate all the systems together to talk and be able to share information about your planned maintenance. So we took a very big project and we managed to take 4 different asset management systems to talk to each other and change information. And that allowed us to have better transparency and understand where every maintainer was in their maintenance plans. And then you need to quantify risk. So risks can come from a variety of sectors. So the first risk that you need to take account of and understand where an asset should be on your asset renewals journey is health and safety risks. And then you move to operations, and they are the ones that they're going to identify if it is a service affecting risk, so an asset that you'll need to put on your plan and will affect your service. And then is the financial risk. So is this asset, if it's not renewed on time, is this asset going to affect the revenue of the business? Because we're all focused on obviously running trams safely, but we need to make sure that we are generating the revenue that will justify our existence. And then you have the environmental risk, which is a key factor of a renewal, and the reputational. If you keep on having unplanned renewals, if you keep on having activities that will create disruption for our passengers traveling, then they're going to abandon traveling with the trams. They're going to choose another form of transport. Asset renewals usually have 2 options. So you're either going to go for a refurbishment of an asset or replacing it. And another factor that will help you identify where you are on your asset renewals journey is asset condition surveys. So asset condition surveys are going to give you information about if all your assumptions that you've made for an asset are correct. And I'm going to move on to planning, because proactive planning, it is a key factor for an asset renewals plan. So proactive is to be able to control a situation before it happens. You need to make things happen instead of waiting for them to happen. So proactive planning is the process of anticipating and expecting what's going to happen in the future. And it involves a lot of things. You need to stay up to speed with all the market trends and make sure that you understand any changes that will come in the standards and regulations. It requires forward thinking, and it requires you to understand where your business is moving, where is the strategic view of the organization. You need to have good risk assessment skills, and you need to build effective communications with key stakeholders. For us at Edinburgh Trams, we had to build a very good working relationship with our client, the council, because effectively they are the asset owner, so they are the ones who need to make sure that they have enough budget allocation for all these activities to happen. So by building an effective communication with them allowed us to inform them and educate them, and making sure they understand when we're submitting an asset renewals plan for them, why do they need to do it and how it's going to affect the business. But other key stakeholders for us, for example, are our maintainers. We need them to be part of this, because whenever we're picking up an asset that needs to be renewed, they need to be involved to help us with the specifications, to make sure that what we're building and renewing is going to go back to the maintenance and they're going to be happy with what we've done. And the key in this communication is to make them understand that it's an ongoing relationship. So it's not going to be them contributing once to a renewals plan and that's it, we're done for the next 10 years. It needs to be ongoing. In my case, for example, I've managed to organize regular meetings. So with our council, we have every 4-week meetings, which we are discussing the progress of our asset renewals plan, and we are discussing any changes. Because you might make all the plans in the world, but unfortunately, there are things that will come up, and we need to make sure that they are informed and they understand any changes, but also approve them. We have the correct processes in place with them. When there are changes, we're going to submit to them the changes, document them, and making sure that they are happy with what we're proposing. And with our maintainers, we have obviously annual meetings, but we have quarterly meetings, which we're going to focus on the renewals plan and making sure all the assets that we are planning to replace are where they should be on the renewals journey. And the objective of proactive planning, obviously, is to make sure that you are having an effective and efficient renewals plan, and you're preventing unplanned downtime and maximizing the life cycle of the asset. Unplanned downtime is becoming something that we are focusing a lot at Edinburgh, because our year has become very busy. We have the Christmas market, we have Edinburgh Fringe, we have concert, rugby games, and people are relying to us to be there to move them smoothly. They don't want to think, oh, the trams are not operating, what's my other option to get to see the rugby game? And the benefits of the proactive planning is obviously to enhance safety and compliance, which is the key to make sure that you are running a reliable service, reduce any operational disruptions, and optimize life cycle costs and improve financial planning. We've talked about budgets, and that's the headache of most people. What I will say about planning early is it allows the client to plan their capital spend, which is very important for them. They need to understand what they will need to plan for, but also it will allow you to understand where the market is and inflation on your plan, because at the end of the day, if the budget is not there, you won't be able to deliver what you need to deliver. I'm sorry. So, proactive planning will allow you to address two main issues. The first issue that we've seen at Edinburgh Trams currently is procurement. So, when you're planning ahead, you're able to identify challenges and opportunities and ensure that extensive lead times will not affect the delivery of the projects. As I mentioned earlier, we're going through several S&Cs renewals, and what we're facing is lead times that can reach out to 17 months. Now, having a 17-month lead time, it is something that can be very disruptive in the business, because you don't know where you're going to be in 17 months. You don't know how your asset is going to deteriorate from today up until a year and a half from now. But also another part of procurement is the tender process. So you need to scope, and you need to make sure that your scope is detailed enough to make sure that everyone is involved understands what needs to be delivered, and the tender stage will go as smoothly as possible. Another main issue that you can resolve with the proactive planning of asset renewals is to identify how the life cycle of an asset can be extended, what the engineers like to say, how you can sweat the asset. The one way that you can do that, extend the life cycle of the asset, is to follow a regular maintenance schedule, following obviously your manufacturer's recommendations. So you'll notice that proactive is the key word, but being proactive allows you to deliver your strategy successfully. So a proactive maintenance program for us at Edinburgh Trams has been a key to be able to successfully deliver the asset renewal strategy that we've set. So 3 ways that you can do that is around scheduled inspections. So regularly assess the condition of the assets and make sure that you can identify early enough any potential renewals. Through preventative maintenance and also the planned maintenance, obviously, you'll be able to keep the assets in the optimal working condition, and you'll be able to identify if your asset renewals plan is working as it should. But what is emerging in our business is investing in condition monitoring. So the technology is moving very fast, and with by utilizing sensors like Marek talked about earlier, or new technology, AI, you'll be able to analyze data and detect early signs of deterioration on your assets. You will save in man-hours because you'll have there a system that will give you what you need to do in inspections, and you'll be able to prioritize renewals and target locations effectively. Sorry. And what we're trying to achieve with all this, with an asset renewals plan and with being proactive, obviously we will have a newer system with more efficient assets that we will improve the safety, the service reliability, and we will be able to achieve financial benefits. It will also obviously improve the reputation, because once you're there and you're reliable, you'll know that you'll get more people, bums on seats, like my boss likes to say. And then how you're going to measure your success in your asset renewals plan. Then the first thing is you need to collect all the relevant data. You need to track your asset availability and your maintenance cost and see if your return on investment has given you what you think. It will help you to prioritize your investments as well as a business. You need to have continuous evaluation of your asset renewals plan and your strategy. You need to make sure that the technology that is moving very fast in the industry is taking into account and making sure that you're staying on top with all the changes and you move in parallel. You're not staying behind. And lessons learned. You need to seek lessons learned from each renewal activity, making sure that you learn in every project that you're delivering, but also look for best practices from other networks. We're not here to reinvent the wheel. We are not doing something that it hasn't done before. So the best practice for us is to reach out to the industry and learn from their experience. And that's me. Thank you very much for your time.